Hello, and welcome to the Sittin' and Knittin' podcast. I am your host, Dianna, and I'd like to welcome you back. It's been a while, probably since October 1st of 2013, and I apologize for that. I've had life, busy life, and I've also had trouble with my laptop, which is what I usually record on, so I'm going to try to record this on my iPad. I got a YouTube app and see how it works. The podcast will be a little different. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get the music and on here at first and the way that I did different segments. So we're just jumping in. The reason why I enjoy doing the podcast is because I enjoy connecting with you and hearing back from you and having that connection from you to me. So that's why I podcast. So there may not be lots of bells and whistles with this podcast. Hopefully there will be a lot shorter than my normal podcast, but I just want to share with you what I'm crafting. So that's what's going on. I have completed a lot since October, and right before I hit record, I thought I should have took the time to maybe go through my Ravelry page and see what all I have completed so I could share with you, but I didn't do that. And to make this as simple and painless as possible, I'll just keep going and show you what I've got right now. So first we'll talk about what's out of my hands, and what's out of my hands is the Ribby Pulley. It is a pullover cardigan by Bon Marie Burns, and it's a paid-for pattern on Ravelry. And I apologize, I do not have the pattern anymore, but there are different ways that you can knit it. I'm wearing it now. I'll stand up and show you. This is it completed. These are the sleeves, the back, and we'll talk about the back in a moment. So the way that the pattern was made, you're supposed to knit like you can have the plain stockinette panel, which is what I have in the front, and then you can have the rib panels at the side, and then the sleeves were supposed to be ribbed, and then when you get to the top you continue with the rib paneling up at the top and a funnel neck collar or different collars. So now I was telling you all that to tell you the adjustments I made. That was the pattern I had planned to do. But when I had gotten the body done and I got to the sleeves, I did not want to rib the entire sleeve. So, the reason why I didn't want to rib the entire sleeves, to me, we started from the cuff and you were going to have to increase going up. And it didn't make sense to me if I was knitting 2, purling 2, and then I had to increase 1, and then knit around again, and then knit 2, purl 2, and increase 1. That would throw my knit 2, purl 2s off. And I didn't know how to incorporate that in there. My mind could not put that together. It just seemed like it would, I guess that there's a way that you can do it, and they say, well, after your next couple of inches, then you'll have another even amount of stitches where you can do a knit 2, purl 2. It just didn't make sense to me. I just was not comfortable with increasing in 2x2 ribs. So what I decided to do was to continue with a stockinette, 2 stockinette stitch panels and 2 rib panels, just like the body. And I thought I was genius for doing that. And then I did these, the sleeves. This is titled my Thanksgiving sweater on my Ravelry page. So I get up to the top, and when I read the directions, I see that you are supposed to continue in the rib pattern when you attach the sleeves to the yoke. Well, I couldn't. That made it a little difficult because all of my sleeves, I didn't have enough rib stitches to continue right here correctly. And I think knitters will know what I'm talking about. So, but I was going to do it anyway, even if I just started ribbing up here and they didn't exactly line up here, I was going to do it. But then again, we come to the part where we have to decrease in rib. And I was not comfortable with doing that. That didn't make sense to me. Basically, I didn't understand how I was going to knit 2, purl 2, decrease 1. So then that meant I was going to knit 2, purl 2, and then knit 2 together, and then purl 2, which meant I would have a knit 1 between my purl 2s. And I didn't think that, it didn't sound like it would look aesthetically right. Now looking at pattern and other finished objects, it looks like it works, but I couldn't make it work in my mind. So at first I was just going to frog the whole sweater. I had gotten this done, gotten sleeves done, and I was so tired of it, and I was tired of working with worsted weight wool. After finishing my last sweater, the calligraphy cardigan in DK weight, I just love that so much, and I have a couple of fingering weight projects that I just put it away, and I was going to frog it. And then after a couple days in timeout, I thought, you know, I've used about 9 balls of yarn, about 9 balls of yarn, and I didn't want to rip out and re-skein 9 balls of yarn. And plus I had put a lot of work and a lot of time in this. I had been doing it since October, and here we were in January. So I decided to go ahead and finish it, and I just said I would do the top portion in stockinette. And so that's what I did. Right here, when I had to pick up the stitches for the collar, it doesn't really look really smooth right here. I'm not sure what happened. These look fine. These look okay. I'll talk about the back in a minute. They look okay in the back. So I'm not sure what happened right here, but that's a little unevenness that I was hoping would block out, but it didn't block out. You know, I see I have here just a little wonky looking stitches. But what I tried to do, I called myself being smart, and I wanted to put short rows in the back. I've always heard if you put short rows to give yourself more room in the back, your sweaters won't ride up around your shoulders the way they normally do. And I'm not really a short row girl. I've always been afraid of short rows, but really there's nothing to be afraid of, and they're kind of intuitive, you know, the wrap and turn. So I just kind of figured it out. I just said to myself, okay, I'm supposed to wrap this and move it. I just kind of figured it out because I had seen them before. Picking up the wraps wasn't a problem. I really didn't know where to stop and start, but I decided to do short rows. So I did. After I picked up the collar, I maybe knit it for a couple of inches, and then I did some short rows and knit it for a couple of more inches and did some more short rows. At the same time, I had some decreases in here. They didn't have decreases in the collar, but when I tried the collar on, I felt like it was too wide. So I decreased here and decreased here to make it a little closer, and still it's a little loose, but I think it'll be okay. But this is my problem. My short rows had the opposite effect of what I wanted. So now I have this. I don't know if it's doing it now, but I have like a bubble back here. I don't know, and I think it's because of the short rows that it kind of rides up, or I have, because I put the extra fabric right here, I have a little bubble. And if you can't hear, I turned away from the camera. I said I have a little bubble back there because of the extra fabric and the short rows. So it worked against me. I don't know why. If any of you know why, can you please let me know? Private message me, leave a comment here on YouTube or in the Ravelry group. So, but I'm thinking, see, you can see it right here. I'm thinking I have more fabric there, and maybe I should have done the short rows before I picked up for the collar. But let me know. Other than that, I feel glad that I accomplished it, glad that it's done, and I'm not going to knit any more worsted weight sweaters just because I was thinking about what's in my closet, and I looked at my store-bought sweaters, and I don't really have, I have a few bulky sweaters, but those aren't the ones I pull out and wear. This is fine. You know, now that I'm done knitting it and wearing it, it's okay. But it probably wouldn't be my first choice. But that segues into what's in my hands. I have another sweater, if you remember, if you've been watching me for a while, I have another sweater on the needles that was in hibernation that I had started in my summer of the sweater. I had started the calligraphy cardigan, and I started a sweater in DK weight and fingering weight and worsted weight. And so this other sweater, which is the Mr. Green Jean sweater, and I believe the author, the designer, is Amy Swenson. It's a free pattern on Knitty. And you know, I thought about ripping this out, and then I thought, I'm going to go ahead. I just felt inspired to continue the sweater knit. I was so proud to be done with this, and I just wanted to finish everything. All the things are on my needle. So this is a picture of the sweater in the back. It's a stockinette body, and it's got rib around the bottom part. Here's another picture of it. So it will be linked either in the show notes on the blog, sittingandknittingpodcast.blogspot.com, or in the Ravelry group. I am His Handmade on Ravelry. I'm sorry if I forgot to say that. And it's in my projects page. So I am making this. Oh, I forgot to tell you. I made this sweater out of Valley Yarns. I believe this too is Valley Yarns Greenwich, and this is in the Crocus colorway. And it's the Webb's brand of yarn. It feels a little acrylic-y. It's a superwash wool. It's okay. I'm glad to be able to knit wool, and it was okay. It's not really rustic. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. It has good bounce back, which is what I love about acrylic, is more so than alpaca, and of course our acrylic is the bounce. So it had the bounce. But so this sweater that I'm making, the Mr. Green jeans, I'm making out of Valley Yarns Greenwich, which is their 100% worsted weight wool, and this too, I believe, is superwash. Oh, this one is not superwash. I'll have to look it up and see. Here's the symbol. Does this symbol right here, it looks like there's a washer crossed out. Does that mean it's not superwash? I think it's hand wash. I'm glad I looked at this, because I think I would have thought this was a superwash yarn. 100% wool, and it is worsted weight. And this is I'm not sure the name of the colorway. I'll have it on my project page. At first I thought it was more of a brown, but the name of the colorway, I think the colorway is Shadow or something. They talk of it like it's more of a gray. So I think I talked about this before. So I had gotten, when I had it in hibernation, I had gotten down to right here. I had not started any of the ribbing. So I've started the ribbing, and I am so out of practice I didn't even tell you on what needles I used for this. I believe I knitted this on 5s and 6s, US 5 and US 6. I'm knitting this on US 7, and it feels it's really hard on my hands. I feel like I'm knitting bulky weight yarn on 2 small needles. It just feels really tight. The gauge feels really tight, and it just feels really hard on my hands. When I think I got lazy, too busy to be able to look at a rib pattern, and when I first started it, I just thought, the reason why I put it aside is because I had gotten to the ribbing part, and I needed projects that I could work on without really having to concentrate on the pattern. But the ribbing is really easy. It's a 4-row repeat, really easy, and I'm really proud of myself because I am knitting without a cable needle. And this is the first time I've ever cabled. Am I saying ribbing? Cabling. This is the first time I've ever cabled without a cable needle. And so she gave specific directions on how to do it in And I appreciate that very much. So now I think I can always do a front twist cable without a cable needle. If I wanted to do a back twist cable, I will need to read specific directions on how to do that. But I appreciate that. And it made it so much easier. Um, so I am now enjoying this project. I will tell you, last night, just like I said, I need mindless knitting. I was watching a movie with the family, and I was knitting this, and I got halfway through it and realized that I was cabling all the way across. Instead of, you've got four stitches that are stockinette, and then you have your 4 cable stitches. I had cabled all the way across. So I painstakingly took that out and started over again. And it took me an hour. It took me an hour to slowly rip back, retwist the stitches, and then knit across. It took me an hour. So I was disappointed on that time loss. But it's very simple, easy, repeat. I understand it now. I'm enjoying it. I think another thing that I was not looking forward to on this was picking up the stitches for the button band. But I'm not going to be a sissy. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I hope I wasn't covering up my mouth. I have a new app, and I don't know how you can hear me or anything else, but I hope it comes out fine. So that is what, that's the next sweater I'm working on. Another project that I'm working on, this doesn't get much love. I work on this when I'm with my clients or if I have a little bit of time at school or whatever. This is my birthday socks. I started them on my birthday, August 2013, and this is all the far I have gotten. And the yarn was gifted to me by Lisa, who is Lhasa Knit on Ravelry, and it is Inspiration Dye Works yarn in a chocolate chip mint colorway, self-striping. I love it. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I love chocolate chip mint ice cream, and it makes me happy when I knit it. What happened was, I think I was a tiny bit further than I am now, and I tried the sock on, and my gauge was too tight, and it couldn't fit. I think I had cast on 64 stitches or so. So I made the executive decision to go ahead and rip back to the ribbing, because usually when I first learned sock knitting, you usually make the ribbing 10% less, and then on the last row you increase, and make the leg bigger. So I went ahead and ripped out the ribbing. I ripped out to the ribbing, and I increased to 72 stitches, and it's a better fit. I'm knitting this on size 2.25 millimeter needles, US 1 2.25, which is my preferred. I know I could probably knit less stitches if I knit on a 2.5 or 2.75, but I love the gauge, the tightness of this gauge. I'm still looking for my perfect sock. I've knit socks, a few pairs of socks, and they're always too tight, or the heel's not right, and this and that and the other, and I've almost given up on sock knitting. But I'm going to give it another go. I think I'm going to do an afterthought heel on this. And so not sure, I don't have my tape measure in here. Oh, I want to knit the entire leg for about 7 inches, 7.5 inches, and I have about 5, almost 6 inches here. So another inch or so, and then I can put in my waste yarn for my afterthought heel and continue on. So I'm enjoying that project. And my other thing on the needles is the Father Time Cowl by Dramatic Knits. His name is Steve. I can't pronounce his last name. And I'm knitting this out of Marigold Jen's sock weight yarn, and I cannot find the tag for it. This was a birthday gift also from Brittany, who is B-Wing, a very good friend of mine on Ravelry. The yarn is beautiful. I enjoyed knitting this very much. It feels beautiful. I love the pattern. It's easy and mindless. This is just a really fun knit. Now, I have been knitting on this for a long time, maybe since September. I just don't get to it all the time. There's been a few other knits. I think I had some dishcloths around Christmas and a couple of hats or a hat around Christmas, and I just have not knit on this like I would like to. Also, I was knitting on it mindlessly and I made a mistake. If you can see how the pattern is, I made a mistake and my pattern was off. And so I think I had about 2 or 3 more inches than what I have now. And so I had to rip back, yeah, at least 2 or 3. I had to rip it back. I ripped it back almost to the garter band and pick up the stitches and start over again. And 300 stitches in the round ripped back. It wasn't very fun. But I didn't want to quit the project. I love the yarn. It's so beautiful. I didn't want to wear it on my feet. And though I think it would feel really, really nice. And so I'm enjoying this project. So that is what I have on my needles. Other than that, I had been doing, since I last spoke with you all, I've been doing some embroidery. I did my mother an embroidery piece for Christmas, and I already emailed that. I already gifted that to her for Christmas. But I will try to put a picture of the finished product at the end of this recording. I'll see if my editor Journey knows how to add pictures in. I'm not sure if we can do that or not. What I am working on now, which is really, I thought about maybe I shouldn't even really show you all, but then, you know, because I'm loving knitting my sweater, I'm loving knitting my sock and my cowl, but when I get the embroidery bug, I'm knitting this for a gift for a friend. It's a little shiny, so I'm going to take it out. Bless our home. See, it's coming up backwards. And I have gotten hardly anywhere. I've just done some new stitches. I was trying some new stitches, and I don't even remember the name of the stitches. That some new back type stitches that I was trying. The stem stitch maybe. So that's all the far I've gotten there, but that's kind of in the wings and what's under my needle. So I think that's all of the crafting that I have to show you. As far as other news, my family and I are doing well. I plan on going to the Knitting Pipeline Retreat in the middle of March. I'm very much looking forward to that. Looking forward to the time away and connecting with knitters, and I'm very, very, very excited about that. I'm continuing on with my weight loss. Since I saw you last, I probably look the same as what I look like the last time I recorded. But actually, since the last time I recorded, up through the holidays, so from October through December, I gained almost 10 pounds. I was busy. School had started back, and whatever other million excuses I can think of, I gained almost 10 pounds back. So I've started back on eating healthy and being mindful of what I eat and do the right things. And I've already lost 8 pounds in the past 3 weeks. I did start on Weight Watchers. I'm doing Weight Watchers online just to have a little more guidance on, you know, I do track on MyFitnessPal and I track on Weight Watchers too, just to kind of see on paper or, you know, on the computer what I'm putting in my mouth and make healthy choices that way. So, you know, in one way I feel kind of down, like, oh, I could weigh a lot less than I do now if I hadn't gained all those pounds over the holiday. But then in another way I feel a little encouraged because I said, well, it took me 3 months to gain the 10 pounds and it's taken me about a month to take it off. But hopefully I won't go back and forth. My mindset as of now is just to lose it the way you'll live it is how I feel like you should do it. So, I can't believe I've talked for 25 minutes already. I have not hardly been able to keep up with any of my favorite podcasts. Some of the favorite podcasts I like to watch is Fibertown and S. Emily. And I also like to watch, I think her name is Emily. Anyway, I also like to watch Knitting in Circles with Amy and Darren. I like to watch The Knit Girls. I love to watch Positively Knitting, Round the Twist with Karen, What Just Watching. Those are the ones, some of my favorites that as soon as they come on, Mustache podcast I like to watch. As soon as they come on, I try to keep up with them, but really I am behind like 9 podcasts on all of my favorites. The Knit Girls and even my favorite audios, Paula. I'm behind 9 podcasts or so on hers, on the Knitmore Girls. I've just been behind on listening and watching podcasts, just doing home care and doing school and doing home. I haven't had time. So for those of you who do have time and have chosen to stick with me and to download and watch my podcast, I thank you very much. I ask that you please connect with me. Connect with me publicly through Ravelry is kind of how I prefer it, because that way we can all connect as a community and others may learn and grow from you. But I also love to get private messages and emails. My email is knittingmother@gmail.com. So all of it. This is just a community. I love the support and I love the friendship and the camaraderie. So I'm his handmaid on Ravelry, and thank you so much for watching. And hopefully, I won't make any promises, but I would like to connect with you regularly, and I'll see you in a week or two. Thanks. Take care.